Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
With almost 500,000 customers and over $1 trillion of secure payments, Bill isn't new to intelligent finance. It's the proven way to simplify bill pay and maximize cash flow. Want to learn more? Visit Bill.com/proven for a special offer.
Hello, and welcome back to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of a therapist and an attorney. I'm the therapist, Tess Brigham. And I'm Brooke Brigham, the attorney. So, well, you know what? We just love Sister Wives. We can't get away from it. You seem to love it. We love it. So,
I do love it. I admit it.
So we are talking about, today we're going to talk about the book, Becoming Sister Wives, the story of an unconventional marriage by Kody, Meri, Janelle, Christine, and Robyn Brown. We did not, I will admit, we did not read this from top to bottom each. We each took a section or two to talk about. So we're going to talk about each section. But just, I'm very curious, Brooke, what are your overall thoughts about the book?
Well, overall, you have to consider this book was written was published in 2012.
And the show started in 2010.
So they're relatively new to this whole thing.
Yes.
So they've had the show for a couple of years. Robyn has only been in the family for a couple of years. And in fact, Robyn's sections, so the book is divided up into these sections, and then in each section, there are chapters where each wife talks about whatever the topic is.
Yeah.
And Robyn's sections are pretty short because she doesn't have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it's true.
She's only been in the family a couple of years. And so, a lot of it is, this... how should I put this? Obviously they're telling their story, they're putting themselves in their best light, but they do speak about hard things.
Yes. I was surprised by some of the honesty with some parts of this. Yes.
The parts, particularly where they talk about the struggle between, really, let's just call it as it is, with Meri.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Pretty much everybody has had problems with Meri.
Yes. Every single wife.
Yeah. And I was also surprised, having, watched all the seasons, and especially this past season, and how angry Kody is now, and a lot of the stuff that he says now, very different than what he was reporting back then. And the way that he talked about his wives, when they first met and got married, it's kind of weird. It's wow, he was just loved all of them, so much, according to him. And now he's saying he never was in love with Christine. I mean, what?
No, well, I have evidence of moments in time where they talk about this, that was not Kody's opinion when they first got married.
Yeah, it's well, were you lying then, or are you lying now?
Yeah.
Which one is it? And so, a lot of the book is very much, them trying to make themselves look good and make it look like this whole polygamy thing is just great.
Yes. But they are honest on some other things. I feel like the person who's most honest is Janelle. I feel like I got the most sort of just, Janelle's, to me, just my opinion, to me, Janelle seems like the one that I would go to and say, hey, okay, what's really happening here, Janelle? Right. I would trust her take on things. And so I felt like I got the most from reading about Janelle. But yeah, it's not, I mean, I don't know if it was exactly a page turner. So if you haven't read it, I don't know if I would recommend it, but we're going to talk about it. So
we're going to talk about some of the things that, that we found surprising in the book.
That's a good way
that we don't already know, or that something seems different, now than it did then, or vice versa.
You read the prologue. So there's the prologue, and then what's the first?
So the first section is something. Is it like called marriage?
Yes. The first section is called matrimony. So basically, in this section, Kody and the four wives basically talk about how they met, their courtship, they're, getting married. So they kind of switch back and forth between the wives and Kody talking. So anyway, so the prologue real quick is just Kody talking basically. And some of the takeaways from the prologue was Kody says that their biggest struggles have been financial. And he says that the wives contribute significantly to both their individual households and the family as a whole. And they support their kids, and what's left over goes to large group expenses such as mortgages. And so, the finances is something I'm always interested in. Mm-hmm. And so I've always thought it sounded to me like they really were financially pretty separate. Meaning, they each held their own, right? Like,
they each controlled their own. They each had their own. They talk about this later too. They each had their own checking account. Mm-hmm. They tried in the beginning with Meri and Janelle trying to share a checking account. That didn't work.
Oh God, those two, no.
Yeah, and it seems like they, either through work or other wives, if they're not working, giving, getting money. It sounds like they're given a certain amount and they control what they need to buy, food, whatever, for their household.
Okay.
So anyway, that's all I wrote down about the prologue. Anyway, okay, so we start with Meri and Kody. And so Meri and Kody, both of them, their parents came to plural marriage a little bit later in life. Mm-hmm. I think Meri said she was like 10 or 11 when her dad first took another wife. And Kody was like 17, 18. And, they talk about it like they both had no problem with this, which I thought was...
Well, because they were 17, 18... Oh, when their parents became...
When their parents became honest. Yeah. They were... But I don't know. Don't you think if you're 11, 17, whatever, and your parents decide to be polygamous, I think I'd have a problem with that.
Well, but I guess... in the world that we live in, but maybe if you're in Wyoming and part of the LDS church, that this is common? Maybe. Were they in Wyoming or Utah? I thought they were in...
Kody's from Wyoming.
Yeah, so I feel like in the beginning of all of their marriages, they were in Utah and then Wyoming and then back to Utah.
I don't know.
Anyway, you're right. It is weird.
Yeah.
It's strange.
He said that he loved... Kody said he loved his dad's new wives right out of the gate. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but Meri's dad had 4 more wives, so 5 total, 27 children. Kody went on a LDS Mormon mission, and while he was gone, that's when his parents, it said they got excommunicated from the Mormon church, and he came back, and his dad had a new wife.
Wow. Okay.
That was fast. So Kody and Meri met at church. She was only 18. She'd never courted anyone before. Kody's sister was her good friend. She fell hard for him. Kody said that prior to meeting Meri, he said he had been dating carelessly.
Ooh.
But
what's that mean?
I don't know. But he had decided to stop that. And he said that Meri had a remarkable purity about her. And he thought that they were soulmates.
Interesting.
So anyway, this all happened very fast. You know, Meri told her dad that, or Kody, got permission from Meri's dad to court her. They courted for a month. And then at some point, Kody says, I'm thinking maybe we ought to get married, if you want to.
Just as any woman imagines a proposal to be.
Want to hear those magic words.
Yes.
And they got married 4 months later, and, they said they were very much in love. And
life is great.
That was that.
Yeah. Wow.
That's all I took away from the Meri Kody thing. But yeah, I did find it interesting how their families were sort of similar in that late to life, plural marriage. But hey, this is what we're doing now. It's all okay.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, usually people would at least be like, what happened? And who was this new person? And hold on a second. So maybe that happened, or maybe it's hard to know what the truth is.
It's hard,
what really happened, if they were that accepting of it. Because, and again, we don't live in that world, so I don't know that world, if that's how common that is.
Right.
That your parents are LDS, and then one day they might jump over to this fundamentalist, plural marriage.
Yeah, and then both Kody and Meri decide to do it as well. But again, this is them making everything balance.
Yes.
And
as we've talked about many, many times, there's so many problematic parts of this because they're so young.
Yeah.
They're both so young.
It's like your first boyfriend.
Yes. And I don't know what this carelessly dating was doing, but the first of everything, and coupled with dating for 1 month, engaged for 4, and then boom, you're married. So essentially like a football season, you're all of a sudden married, it's crazy.
Yeah. So then the next chapter is Janelle and Kody, their love story. So Janelle was raised LDS, and see what I have her. Her mother converted to LDS in college. Her dad had died when she was 2, and she had a stepdad for a while, but he was emotionally unavailable, and they got divorced. And so she met Adam, who is Meri's brother.
Yeah, I don't know why they never talk. I know why they don't talk about the marriage, but I would love to know more. But
yeah. Well, she met him, and he was a polygamist. Their families, they were polygamists, as I just said, but he converted to LDS because at this point, Janelle is just LDS. And they got married in the temple, but they broke up after 6 months. But she stayed.
And she doesn't say why they broke up. Like, what was the reason?
She really doesn't give a concrete reason.
I mean, 6 months means that if you're breaking up after 6 months, that means like somewhere around week 2 of your marriage, you're like, this isn't good, right? So
yeah,
I feel like it had to have been something glaring.
Yeah,
people usually, if it's something like we don't get along, or you're messy and I'm not, that usually you can get through those things. This has to be pretty serious.
Yeah, I think it was, and that's why it's never talked about, and that's why we don't know why it was just this short marriage. But but she stayed close to her in-laws. And
hence Meri's parents.
Meri's family. And then at the time, Meri was dating Kody. And so she said that when she met Kody, she said she had a feeling of relief and recognition wash over her.
Ooh. So this is different than your testimony. Because they always talk about, I had this testimony that, we should go to Vegas.
Does that mean God spoke to you?
Yeah, I want to know what that means. Does that mean God spoke to you, or is it that you just made a decision? You just decided, what feels right? This. Yeah. Or that wave of whatever, maybe that's pheromones and hormones and, I think this person's attractive. I don't know.
I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, I wish one of them would explain I guess I could look it up on the web, but like, what does that mean, a testimony?
I always thought that it meant, like God spoke to you. You prayed about it and whatever, and
God decided you
just spoke to you. God's never spoken to me.
Never, ever?
No.
Oh, so you know why? Because you're not LDS or fundamentalists, and you're not going to go to whatever this kingdom is.
You're not praying hard enough.
You are not praying hard enough because God is not talking to you.
Anyway,
Or could it just be someone's intuition? But go on.
so Janelle actually went to Meri and Kody's wedding with her estranged brother. I mean, estranged husband, Meri's brother, because she said they had separated. I guess they broke up, separated after 6 months, but their divorce wasn't finalized for a little while. And so anyway, she liked this family. Mm-hmm. She was intrigued by them. And so she hung around and stayed around. And she said that the three of them, Meri, Kody, and her, they were friends. And she said that Kody said he recognized Janelle's intelligence and that the conversation flowed easily. Mm-hmm. And so Janelle worked at an employment agency and she helped Kody get a full-time job.
Okay.
As a salesman. And Kody says, this is all this back and forth between Janelle and Kody. And then Kody says he thought that he was everything Janelle was looking for.
Oh, Kody.
I know.
Good to know that you haven't changed much, Kody.
No, gosh, what will we do without you, Kody? So him. And so anyway, I guess Janelle owned a house and Meri and Kody began renting her she called it her old house. I don't know, maybe she was living with Meri's brother. Anyway, they rented her house. And then again, one day, Kody told Janelle at lunch, maybe you and I should consider you and me.
Oof, Kody. You're not getting any better.
I mean, this is just so bizarre. But Janelle said she just kind of laughed it off. And then Kody invited Janelle to go to his family's ranch in Wyoming. And Janelle's mom was kind of concerned because she thought that this was, this weird polygamous cult. She didn't really want Janelle going there by herself. She, she said for her safety, she went with her. And so she and Kody's dad, Wynn, had an instant chemistry and they began courting and got married.
Which I think is just so bizarre, but I guess this happens a lot in this world. So,
gosh.
So essentially at this point, Janelle is the sister-in-law of Meri and the stepsister of Kody. Yes, it's just sister wives. It really has many.
Or even it's not even the way they look at it. It wouldn't even be a stepsister because they don't call each other's kids step.
Yeah. Oh, I guess not.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They say that's my brother, my sister. They don't use the word step. So they were brother and sister.
But they didn't have the same
Not biologically, no. But in this life, world. So Janelle decided to join the faith, the fundamentalist faith. And Kody again says he felt that they're destined to share a future and that Janelle was starting to think Kody was the person for her. My goodness. So Janelle at this point, she's still only 22.
Wow. And she's on her second marriage. That's crazy.
Yeah. And she says Kody's dad wanted Janelle to marry Kody's brother.
Oh, which one?
No, they didn't say which one. But, Kody and Janelle had other ideas. Just this. I guess this is Kody talking. He wanted an intelligent connection, a companion, and then intimacy would develop from there.
Yeah, in the other chapters that is a bit of a theme of Janelle and Kody. This idea of what's their connection? Is it an intellectual connection? Is it a romantic connection? Yeah.
Well, and this is really this is something. Janelle says Kody was the most emotionally intelligent man she knew.
No. So she
didn't know many people.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh, we have more.
More.
Okay, so they were in Montana for some reason. Okay, Janelle confessed to Kody that she thinks that she belongs in their family, and Kody is relieved by this, and Meri doesn't protest. I guess. They moved back to Wyoming, went on one date, and and he gave her a ring that Janelle's mom had given to him. And 2 weeks later, they got married.
Oh my, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
After their first date.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he
fast.
proposed on the first date.
So you're going out to dinner. It's like, well, do you think you're you and me? Okay, great. And then 2 weeks later,
Well, they've been friends for a while.
I mean, they knew each other, but it's just, yeah, I know this is part of this. This is very typical, but it's just I didn't realize it was 2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. And so then she said
Well, it is her sister after all.
yeah, it is a little awkward. So this is the least of
This is my sister. I know her real well, so we should get
the 2 weeks is the least of the problems here. There's so many others. Okay, so, and then she says during their honeymoon, she said it still felt platonic. She'd never really been alone with him. She wasn't in love yet. And then she says it would be many, many years into the marriage before our true love story would begin.
Boy, that's not a good sign for the honeymoon.
No, it doesn't sound like much of a honeymoon.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like he swept, I don't know. Who knows what went on?
So the first year was a real struggle. She moved in with Kody and Meri, but she said she felt like a house guest. That Kody and Meri, they were really in love, and that they would watch movies and they would hold hands under the blanket, and Janelle would just be sitting there in her chair.
Like a third wheel. Like you're there with your friend and you're just like, oh God, I got to get out of here.
Because Kody and Meri, they were like first loves. They were, lovey-dovey. She said there were a lot of arguments over small things like how to fold clothes, how to clean the kitchen. She said she felt challenged and confronted on all fronts and lost her sense of self. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a cliffhanger, because I'll pick it up from there. Yeah. When I get to my section.
It is. Well, Meri, this book really reveals that Meri was
Yeah. No, I've got
something else.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're on Christine. Christine says that at 17, she decided to be a polygamist, even though she'd been raised in this very prominent polygamist family. She decided for herself.
And her grandfather or great-grandfather was the founder of this particular sect.
Grandfather.
I don't
know if he was the founder, but he was the current, basically head leader of this AUB, the something United not apocalypse. Apostles. I don't know, something United Brethren.
Okay. So she's a big deal.
Yeah, she's a big deal. And she says she knew she only wanted to be a third wife because she was not interested in the monogamous stage of polygamy, which would be the first wife. And she said that the third wife is the one that makes peace between the first and the second wives. That's what she wanted. So let's see. She met Kody. Her sister and her went to a church camp, and the leaders of her group at the camp were Kody and Meri.
Oh.
So Kody and Meri, I guess, they're married. They're leading church camp groups.
So weird.
It is weird. And when she returned, she was gushing about Kody, and let's see. Oh, I guess Meri knew Christine because Meri had been in polygamy, for most of her life. She'd been to Christine's house, but Meri said that nobody noticed her until she was with Kody.
Oh. Yeah, Meri has a way of just making some comments, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then Christine says she went to church and she saw Kody and she says, he's so cute! Exclamation point. Kody didn't remember seeing Christine at church.
Oh no, Christine.
He said they met at a dance and he thought she was bubbly and sweet and cute. Cute as anyone I'd ever seen before. But he wasn't ready for a second wife. This is before he was even courting Janelle. So we're kind of going back in time. So he said that there was a spark and that he knew that their destinies were interlaced.
Ooh.
So is this Kody talking? I guess he says he hung out he hung out with all the young single people.
Ooh.
And there were events at Christine's house all the time. And he was in awe at how adorable and upbeat she was.
Doesn't sound like a sacrifice, but okay.
I'm waiting for the sacrifice.
Yeah.
Let's see. Meri and Christine were friends, but Meri was not prepared to court her. Christine wasn't interested in marriage yet, but she liked hanging out with Meri and Kody. And she said Kody made a big splash when he joined the church. Kody is gushing about how fun Christine is. She's the kind of person he wanted to be around all the time. She was the cutest girl in the world, although she was a little chubby. Now, that's a low blow.
Yes, that is a low blow.
Even for Kody. So, though, and then he talked about the chili cheese nacho incident.
The infamous incident. I've heard about this incident from so many different people.
Gosh. So, yeah.
And how mortifying. Why did you keep that in the book? That was just so embarrassing. Just tell me what the story is. My guess is everyone knows the story, but just in case.
Well, the story is they're going on a road trip with a bunch of other young, polygamist people. They're driving somewhere on a road trip. Anyway, so they'd been driving like a long time and they're driving in the same car. And Kody said that he'd been drinking all this, he called it soda pop, to stay up, while he was driving. He said they stopped at a gas station and he kind of felt kind of queasy from all the soda pop. And Christine went in and came back with a big plate of chili cheese nachos. And he said, these are his words exactly, "The sight of this chubby girl in my car eating chili cheese nachos for breakfast put the brakes on our relationship." Ooh. Like he was so grossed out. He said that there was chili, she was just making a mess. There was chili cheese everywhere.
And that really grossed him out, someone eating. Yeah.
Wow, terrible.
But even if you thought that, yes, keep it in your head.
Now, but married to this woman, when you're writing this book, you've now been married to this woman for like almost 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why would you say that?
And I'm sorry, I've been married almost 20 years. My husband does things that I think are kind of, or God, the chewing or whatever it is.
I'm telling people.
I'm telling you all now. But I also wouldn't put that in a book and, write it down somewhere. That's the part I always thought that was so odd. And why didn't the editors? I mean, they were working with a ghostwriter. They didn't write this.
Yeah.
Not one person stopped them, but okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's out there.
So harsh.
Okay. So then, I guess where they were driving was, on this trip, they were driving up to the ranch, the Kody's ranch up in Wyoming. And Christine said that at the ranch, Kody was a stud.
Ooh.
I'm not sure what he was doing, but he was just this studly cowboy. So then she talks about there was a young girl there who was beautiful and thin, and she was visiting the Browns in Wyoming, and Christine took her back to Utah. Make a lot of sense. Anyway, she and Kody and Meri hit it off. So this girl from the ranch, she hit it off with Kody and Meri, and they began courting her. And Christine was devastated, and she broke off the friendship because she couldn't stand to see them all together. And then after that, her parents got divorced, and her mother actually left the faith. And then she said she spoke to Meri on the phone one day, and Meri told her that the courtship had been prolonged because they wanted to wait for the girl to turn 18.
Lordy.
Yeah.
Oof. So was she 17, 16, 15? Like how many years of waiting? But that is frightening. And yes, they both are young too, but
at least Meri was 18 when they started.
Yeah.
But I mean, what is the difference between a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old? I mean, 18 is creepy too, but it's not like Kody's like an old man. He's what, 3 years older than Meri. But Yeah, I don't know, but I guess that's part of their culture.
Yeah, it's part of their culture. And, you know, as a therapist, we have to report things. And obviously, if you have a client who's 15 years old and she tells you I'm dating a 25-year-old, that you need to, you need to address that issue. You need to tell someone about it. Right. But there is something about, there are gray areas in all of this. So when you have, a 16 and an 18-year-old, when you have a 17 and a 19-year-old, when you have these. So I'm just curious about how old they were at this time versus this.
Kody probably, he was 22 when he married Meri. So they've been married for a little while. So he's got it's got to be like 23, 24.
Yeah, it's a little,
and even if she's like 17, that's 7 years.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's too much.
And that would be enough.
At that age.
Yeah. I would report it.
And
I would say something.
Well, I'm surprised they left that in the book.
Yeah.
That makes them sound creepy.
Who knows?
I don't know. All right. Anyway, but then a week before the wedding that was supposed to happen with this young woman, Meri called Christine to say that the wedding was canceled.
Oh, wait, so they got that close to it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But then she also said, the next thing she knew, Meri and Kody had married Janelle and they moved to Wyoming. So when things didn't work out with the 18-year-old, newly minted 18-year-old, they just said, well, let's just marry Janelle?
Yeah, I think so. But I think this is the pressure of this religion.
Yeah.
I think that the minute, you get one marriage, it's just like the same thing with babies. Another baby.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with this. I think that Kody probably got, and Meri at that time, a lot of pressure from the church elders to find someone, right?
Well, yeah, and Cody's dad was trying to marry off Janelle to one of the other brothers. So, yeah, I think it is. I think you're right. So, okay, so they moved. So they were in, Meri, Kody, Janelle are in Wyoming. And then she says they all met up in Utah a few times. I guess Christine is in Utah. And Kody all of a sudden gets feelings again for Christine. Christine is giddy, and she goes up to Wyoming for Cody's birthday, and they start courting with her family's blessing. And she said that Janelle was accepting of her, but Meri was not. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right. Okay, we're almost done with Christine here. Okay, so they got engaged. Kody wanted to wait. Christine did not. They'd already been friends for 3 years. And they got married 6 weeks later. Kody says he realized it was too quick. He was not yet 25, and he's already got 3 wives.
Yeah.
He said Janelle was pregnant with Logan. And Christine had no idea how tense things were between Meri and Janelle. And he says that Christine became a major factor in their success as a family because she brokered peace in the household. Apparently, Christine didn't like this, that Kody didn't even plan a honeymoon.
Oh, that's crappy.
They just got in the car and drove to Montana, and she said it was a tense trip, wasn't really ready for the transition, and both were worried they married too soon. So, there's this big, intense, love, they get married, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, we're married. Uh-oh. It's too late.
Yeah. So that's, now we're moving on to Robyn. Kody. Robyn. So she does say that she was married to the son of a prominent family in her first marriage. So she married at 21. She was a first wife. She called herself a first wife, but there were never any other wives.
Yeah.
So she, by default, she's the only wife. And she was married for 7.5 years. So clearly this guy was never going to take another wife.
Yeah. Well, and what was so weird about this is the story that she has always told us. The story that she's always told us is she gave him her purity and her flower. Right. It sounds like maybe she got pregnant and then had to marry him. And they were together for, she was in this abusive marriage for 7 years. But it sounds like the whole time she wanted to be a polygamist. She wanted him to marry other people, but he's abusing you at the same time. So,
well, and she says it's abusive, but we don't even know what that means. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's not that I don't believe her, but it's just like, if it was so abusive, like, well, she says
why are you dying? Why are you dying to have other women join you in this hell?
She said that they separated after 7.5 years and they're divorced after 9. She said she was badly mistreated and misled by her ex-husband. So maybe that was part of it. He said, oh yeah, we're going to do this polygamy thing. And then he never really wanted to.
Which is kind of the opposite, I think, with most women, where usually they tell you, yeah, I want to be with you. Oh, no, we're polygamous now. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, she said after her divorce, this is so bizarre, she developed this alter ego that she called She-Ra. and so she got strength from,
She-Ra.
When she needed to be strong or whatever, She-Ra would come out. Anyway, so she went to go visit her cousin Reba in Lehigh. She lived like,
St. George,
several hours away. Yeah, I think she said it was 5 hours away or something. Yeah, St. George. Okay, so she said she spotted Kody in church. And then I said a month later at Reba's house.
I think that because this is what I read in my section, that they met.
There was a party at Reba's house.
Yeah, and Meri and Kody were there.
Okay, so she first saw them. She first spotted him in church, but then she went back to visit the next month, and Reba was having a party, and Kody pulled up in a white convertible with Meri, and she said he was so dynamic and full of energy. Then there was going to be a church dance. She said she didn't want to go, but her mother told her she should go to get her scent out there.
Oy, God. Okay.
Very weird thing to say. And so at this dance, Kody asked her to dance. And then she thought that, like, Meri was just being nice and telling Kody, oh, go dance with her or whatever. But she said that during the 2 songs they danced together, they opened up to each other.
Oh. These were these slow songs? They had to be slow songs.
Yeah.
If they're fast songs, how do you do that?
She said she forgot about everything. For 10 minutes, they were the only people in the world, and she forgot where she was. What? Yeah, I have to say, her telling of these tales is very, kind of fantasy.
Yeah.
It's very weird. So, and then she said that they talked until 2 a.m. She's
just her and Kody, or her and Kody and Meri?
I must have been all of them. I mean, they're all there.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, then she's saying that she made an agreement with God that if God wanted her to marry someone, she would need irrefutable proof from God.
Okay. So now does God ever speak to you and give you a challenge like that?
I don't know. It's never happened.
Okay, that's right.
Okay. So then Kody says he initially didn't want a divorced woman, but that with Robyn, it was love at first sight. It was deep and transcendent. There was a spark, a spiritual connection. Wow. You can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So after the dance, Kody. After they got home from the dance, Kody and Meri stayed up for 2 hours talking about Robyn.
Yes.
You mean at 4 a.m.?
You were still... Did you guys have kids?
No, they didn't at this point. Oh, no, they did. What am I talking about?
So they're 15... That's right. There's that Lehigh house into the marriage. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Kody says that the family was stable. The wives were happy. And he said he had arrived at the place he'd been dreaming of since he married Christine. But the connection was so deep and spiritual with Robyn, it kept them up at night. He said he fell on his knees to pray, and he told God that he felt a stirring.
Oh.
Something's stirring.
Something's stirring inside of Kody. You make your own. You leap to your own conclusions with that one.
Yeah. Let your imagination
Run wild with that.
Oh my God. Then he says that he and Meri told Reba they had both been bitten by the same love bug.
Ooh, love.
So Mary's smitten too.
Yes.
Okay. And then I have here, Robyn lives 300 miles away. And she says, few men in our faith have 4 wives. It's just too challenging. Yeah.
We've learned that. No, we know now.
Kody told Janelle, and he said Janelle was overcome with emotion and says, this is supposed to happen. Kody told Christine about Robyn the night of the dance and claims that Christine was disappointed she didn't get to meet her. So they had a barbecue at their house to invite Robyn to come over and meet everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And Robyn pointed out that she said there were 3 convertibles when she pulled up to the barbecue. I don't know what that was about.
That's an interesting detail to share.
Detail. I don't know why. Okay. She said she met Janelle and Christine. She felt awkward, but she fell in love with the family because Kody was so... Oh, wait. She fell in love with the family before Kody was so impressed about how Kody was everywhere all at once, meeting everyone's needs. That was her perception. I'm sure he was on his best behavior that day. She said she sat down and she told everyone her story in a very serious way. And then Christine started teasing her and said, do you think her husband is cute?
Oh.
And then Robyn made some comment about how she would never pursue a married man or something. And then Christine says, yeah, right, you hussy. What? Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
But, I'm sure she said it like in a joking way, but not joking. And then she says that they were chased during their whole courtship and they never even hugged, which is bullshit because then this was all you.
We saw you kissing her when poor Christine was in labor for truly.
Exactly. Hello. They never even hugged. No, they hugged and kissed. We saw it's on camera. Right?
Yes. Oof, boy, what a journey. And that is just part 1.
Wait, I have one more little paragraph here. Hold on. This might be something important. Okay, just to finish up Robyn. Okay, Kody said that when Robyn's dad gave him permission to court her, Kody's career was in the dumps and he didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. So good idea. Yeah, get married and bring in 3 more kids. And then Kody said he found out that an older and esteemed man in their faith wanted to court Robyn. He said, I didn't have the money to marry and support Robyn, but I knew that I would find a way. Yeah. Yeah. He said he proposed and he said he kissed her.
Oh, see, you just contradicted yourself.
He said he couldn't support her and he couldn't afford to move her to his town, but he knew God would help and do what it took. So I don't know how, maybe TLC.
No, I will tell you.
Relocate Robyn?
We learned in this section that it wasn't God, it was TLC.
Okay.
So TLC,
good. Because I was like, what? Yeah, and I remember there was an episode where Christine was talking about how Kody didn't even have like the gas money.
Oh, yes. I love that.
Yeah. Go see Robyn. And she's like, well, then you shouldn't go.
Yeah.
But that didn't stop him. I don't know how he found it, but he found the gas money.
Oof. Well, that was a journey.
Yeah, that was just part 1 of the book. So we're going to...
And you had a harder job because the way it's broken up, and I kept looking at the book going, God, is there a better way you could have done this? But maybe not. The first part was story with each woman. And then after this, part 2, which I'll cover in the next episode, is called sorority. And that's just the women. So you had a much harder job, I will say, because you had 2 people talking and you had to write all that down.
It was a long section, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, so good.
No problem.
All right. So we do want to bring in talk about a bit about what's been happening in the Sister Wives world since we last tuned in, since the tell-all part 3 aired, so much has happened. We learned that Kody and Meri are officially apart, separated, divorced.
Well, did they use the divorce word?
No, they're just not together anymore. And they made it official. So that's good. I think hopefully that will allow Meri to move forward in her life. I felt like Meri was really treading water there.
Well, it was just getting embarrassing.
That too. I was trying to be nice.
Yeah.
And the other big thing that happened in the Sister Wives world in the last week or so is Paedon went on a podcast, YouTube show, a show hosted by JohnYates, and I had not heard of him before. I didn't know him at all, but apparently, if you watch the show, it seems like he's met lots of different celebrities. His little intro thing is him with Dorinda and him with, people, housewives and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he likes to ingratiate himself with reality TV people. And I know that he knows a lot of the 90 Day Fiancé franchise people.
And the show is a little odd because I tuned in, and you look at it, it's 4 boxes. John and I guess Maria, or I think that's her name. It was hard to read. They're in one box. So they're at their house, but they're not together. John has a husband, but in the box, you see all these little weird animals and beanie babies surrounded by them. It's almost like someone's grandmother's house. It was such a strange place. Like, really? This is where you're going to record? You're very professional show? Okay. And then Paedon is there. Paedon's in his own box. And then he's got these 2 other women who he never introduces or tells us. I mean, I guess maybe you should be a regular of the show. And if you're a regular of the show, you know who these other 2 women are. But these 2 other women who are in their own spots, who are just there for what? I don't understand. To add color commentary or to add, their 2 cents? It was just, the whole setup was very odd. It was just very strange. But Paedon definitely, shares a lot of tea about the family, his experiences. I watched pretty much most of it. And I'm sure if you're a big fan of Sister Wives, you've heard all of these things. But I'll share with you some of the big revelations that have happened. The biggest one, and the one that's being reported on the most, is Meri. And the fact that, what did he say? He said Meri was not nice, and abrasive is not a harsh enough word to use when you think about her. And he didn't say it per se, but he basically says it went
beyond
past
verbal.
Yeah, it went past verbal abuse to the next level.
Well, he said later when he was talking about, it seemed like, well, he said that Robyn, he said he could never hate Robyn because she actually brought it to Kody's attention and got him to understand that Meri was abusing several of the kids. And he said she probably saved several of our lives.
Yeah.
Which is very dramatic.
He said that. He said, I never felt safe around her. Wow. I mean, that's significant because as we're learning from the book, Christine was very much the primary child care, home with the kids, but so was Meri.
Well, so was Meri, because when we talk about the next part of the book, Meri talks about how there was a period of time where she was the primary caregiver because Christine was working part-time and she was not working.
Yeah.
And she was the one home with the kids.
So, yeah. I mean, it's interesting because if you see the book and you see different aspects of the show, you can see this coming up a little bit. There's a very famous scene where Meri's caught by the cameras. She didn't know the cameras were watching her, yelling at all the kids when they're at some, they're kids, they're just being kids and they're on some family trip and been in the car all day and they're fighting and so on and so forth. And Meri freaks out on them. But you see little glimpses of this. So it makes sense. And of course, Maddie had put out some tweets. I don't know how many years ago, but I guess she and Meri got into a fight or had a big blowout. I guess it was about LuLaRoe.
And then Maddie used to work with her at LuLaRoe. And then Meri posted something, basically kind of saying something about how, talking about Maddie, not naming her, but she was talking about her, about how she didn't want to work hard or something like that.
And then Maddie put out these tweets where she doesn't name Meri, but she basically said, I lived in terror my entire life around this person. I'm so grateful that, basically I'm an adult now and I don't have to deal with you anymore. So goodbye. I'm not part of your downline. Forget you. I'll start my own, So that had been out there but she had put it out and then taken it off. But of course, people captured it. Paedon talked a lot about Leon. And this was a very interesting part of it because no matter what you feel about things, if Leon says, call me Leon, I want to be referred to as they, them, why can't you just do that? But Paedon really refuses to. He refuses to. He was almost mocking it, saying her birth name and then mocking that and saying, oh no, it's really Leon or Leo. Their birth name. But very disrespectful. And I was kind of surprised that the hosts too.
Who is gay?
Yeah.
This is gay. He doesn't even call him out on this.
Or even, but he doesn't even follow it. Do you know what I mean? I guess if you don't maybe want to call him out because you feel a little awkward, he's your guest, you can't follow it. They weren't calling them Leon the whole time.
Yeah.
So it was just interesting. So there was a lot of disrespect. There's this disrespect. He and Leon don't seem to get along. And he said that Leon is a big attention seeker, that always is seeking attention, and that they were both at Logan's wedding, and that Leon, I guess, had just come out as non-binary around that time or had made a statement about it.
I think that they said that they were trans, right?
I thought non-binary.
Well,
we don't even.
Well, at first it was non-binary, and then trans came out later as trans, I believe.
And call me Leon or Leo.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think this happened around the time of Logan's wedding, and Paedon said that Leon was upset that Paedon was getting more attention than they were because Paedon was working as a bouncer in a strip club.
What?
So Paedon had this job as a bouncer at a strip club.
Was giving him all this attention over that.
Family? Like, hey, Paedon,
how's the strip club?
Yeah, how's the strip club coming? What's going on? What are you doing? Oh, okay, hi. And was a lot of that. It was so bizarre. He would go on these really long tangents about being tall and how the world sees him differently because he's so
Yeah,
he's got a lot of thoughts and feelings. But one of the things that he said was that he said that it was a gift that Meri.
Oh, this never. Terrible.
That it was a gift that Meri had. That Meri's one child is trans because now Meri will never have any grandchildren of her own, and that is a gift.
It's like punishing her.
Yes.
Thank you. For being such a monster. Well, newsflash, Paedon, anyone can become a parent, okay?
And a grandparent, yes.
Yes. So it's just the dumbest thing.
But I think that's what he was saying, was that the God is punishing Meri
and giving her a trans child, and she'll never be a grandma.
Exactly. So, and he talked about Gwendolyn a little bit. It's obvious that Gwendolyn and Paedon don't really get along. Paedon doesn't really have a lot of time or attention or patience for anyone who doesn't think what he thinks.
Yeah.
And he talks a lot about his relationships with women. And I get the sense that Paedon is often like the third wheel, or he's sort of he has all these good friends that have great girlfriends and he's in love with them but they're always with someone else. And I don't know. Listen, this is just my 2 cents, but I kind of get the feeling that he has a lot of complicated feelings about women. I think that's my statement.
Yes. All that he does, he's not, Yes. He says a lot of rude things about women. And also, he seemed to go out of his way to assure people that he was straight.
Yes, yes.
Constantly, like, thou doth to protest too much.
Yeah.
It's like,
Way too.
Hello. Yeah, it's really something.
But he talked about, he did say, yes, Robyn is the favorite wife. That was very obvious to all of them very, very early on, that they went to Flagstaff because not because Dayton wanted Robyn to follow him, but because Robyn can't cut, what he said, Robyn can't cut the umbilical cord. So therefore, she had to go and follow Dayton to Flagstaff, where he was going to college.
He was willing to live in the dorms by himself. And she was like, no.
I must follow you. So therefore, the whole family went.
If that's true, I mean, that's just one of the craziest things I've ever heard of in my life.
Yeah, no. He mentions that, he talks about that his father was a great father up until the time, essentially, Robyn came in, that he was a great father and very attentive and fun, but that the sense that I get is that when Robyn came in, and I think it was a combination, because one thing that he's not saying was when Robyn showed up and the show showed up, like the television show, because Robyn and the TV show are the same, came together at the same time, that something changed, that the focus was all about Robyn and Robyn's kids, and that when they were in Vegas, that most nights Kody was,
he said 5 nights a week he was at Robyn. But also too, didn't he say that Kody really changed when his brother died?
Yes, he did talk a little bit about that. This is the thing about this interview, was it's so, you try to fast forward a little and you're like, okay, wait, I missed something. And then you go back. But there were some things that I just couldn't, I had to fast forward.
Because I got this off.
Oh, okay.
I got this off of TikTok.
Okay.
Like a list of all the.
Okay.
He said, and he said he had a loving father until 15 when Kody's brother died.
Oh, wow.
So that was after Robyn.
Yeah.
But yeah, that didn't help. But I think, you know how you see this real kind of anger develop in him?
Yeah.
Because he was a lot more happy-go-lucky in the first few seasons.
Yeah. So maybe it was. Yeah. Well, that's all. What else do you have on your list?
Okay, so he said that, this makes no sense, but he said that Robyn doesn't work. She's never worked. And she married Kody because he was wealthy.
Yeah, that makes no sense, because they had no money. He was just wealthy.
Yeah.
So that wasn't the issue, but maybe was he thinking wealthy in terms of, we're about to have this TV show.
Maybe.
So,
and I mean, he had a house and he had a convertible.
Yeah.
Convertible. So maybe that's all.
Maybe that's wealthy.
That's wealthy in Robyn's mind, I guess.
Or in Paedon's mind, not Robyn's. Because this is Paedon's thoughts about it.
True. Yeah, I said he knew Robyn was the favorite 1 year into the marriage. And stuff about Meri, stuff about Leon, Dayton. He said that, the COVID rules
were insane.
Them away, they were crazy. Yeah, well, let's see what he said something about Kody would give up his biological kids for Robyn's kids.
Yeah, he never said that directly. I think he kept alluding to the fact that it was,
well, they were his priority.
Yeah, they were his priority. And it seemed that Paedon he loves Dayton and he loves Aurora. But I think it's Brianna I think that maybe Brianna was, and she was the littlest. She was 6, 7, something like that when she joined the family and joined this big family. That's a lot. But that she was, I guess, a little bit of a princess. And
Paedon didn't get along with her.
I guess not.
Yeah. He says Isabel and Gabe are still heartbroken.
Yes.
All the kids knew that Christine was heartbroken for years.
He very much sees Janelle as a second mother.
Yeah.
I mean, when he talked about it, he really did talk about it. It was his mom and Janelle are the women that raised him.
Yeah. He says that Meri was the favorite wife until certain things happened. He said the catfish was not it was not. What did I can't read my writing. The catfish was not the main problem. It was that, and Meri was on the outs with the family prior to the catfish. So that must have been when the abuse was exposed. Maybe that was why people hate her, not because of the catfish.
Probably. I mean, my guess would be it's like a slow roll, right? I think Meri probably was the preferred wife until Robyn came in. I think Robyn came in. I think he was swept off his feet. I think he fell in love with her. She became the favorite wife. I think she then pointed out the abuse to Kody. Kody starts really listening to her. Now Meri's now Meri's not the number one.
And maybe that's what caused the catfish.
And then Meri, and the fact that Meri, I learned this in my chapters, Meri and Robyn stopped spending so much time together. There was like a rift between them. And then Meri probably felt really slighted and so started the catfish. I mean, I think it was like, it wasn't overnight for Kody. My guess would be I think it was a slow burn.
Yeah.
Of a couple years.
Yeah.
Of stuff.
Well, now I can almost like
makes sense now.
Sympathize with Kody.
Yeah.
He says that he hasn't spoken to Kody in a year. And then, this was interesting. Apparently, none of the kids as children were vaccinated.
Oh, yes.
They're anti-vaxxers.
None of them were vaccinated.
And only the ones who went into the military and were forced to get vaccinations got vaccinated.
Yeah.
And he said Robyn wouldn't be okay with other sister wives. And then I can't remember I think he said this. Yeah. Kody wanted TLC to put in their contracts that the kids couldn't talk badly about him publicly.
Yes, I remember that. So telling. So telling. So
sorry, Kody.
Yeah.
You're just going to have to be nicer if you don't want to talk about you.
So here we are. We'll see what the fallout is with Paedon revealing all of this. I mean, who knows?
And there's Gwen, who has, I know she has a YouTube channel, and then she also, I think, has a Patreon where she and I've seen some clips of her YouTube. She's much more diplomatic, and she's actually much nicer. She's actually seems like a very nice person. So she'll call out things, but in a kind of a loving way, or so she's very different. She's not like Paedon. And she doesn't spill like this kind of juice.
Yeah.
She just kind of honestly, like, she watches the show and she reacts to it. That's what I've seen. I don't know what she talks about on her Patreon because I'm not a subscriber, but on the YouTube channel, she just reacts to the show and she'll say stuff like, well, I don't think that's really true. Or, she's much more gentle about it.
Yeah, no, Paedon has a lot of opinions. Paedon, trying to find a diplomatic way of saying this, like, Paedon's white maleness and
It's just out of control.
Right there, that we are just
out of control.
Paedon knows everything and we really know very little. And, hey, he's a bouncer at a strip club. So, I mean, we should be listening to him, right? We should be really listening to what he has to say.
Yeah, I've never seen someone be so proud.
Yes. Oh, yeah, of course. Oof. All right. So we will be back with the part 2, which is my section called sorority. We will talk about that, and we'll talk about some other Sister Wives information as we build this bridge while Sister Wives is off the air. And thank you so much for tuning in. If you love this podcast, please give us a 5-star review and write something nice. That would be great. Very quickly, I'm going to keep promoting it. I wrote a book. It's called True You, Step-by-Step Guide to Conquering Your Quarter-Life Crisis. I talk about the 20-something years into the 30s and just about my own story of going through my 20s and my own quarter-life crisis, coupled with, don't worry, it's not just all about me, coupled with the stories of my clients and what they've been through as 20-somethings. And I talk about the politics of, the day, about Generation Z and millennials and all that good stuff. So if you have someone in your life who is if you're a 20-something or 30-something, if you have a 20-something or a young person in your life that you think would be it would benefit. I'd really appreciate if you picked it up. And if you really like it, give me a review on Amazon too. That would be good. But here we are at the podcast. So thank you so much. If you have any thoughts or feelings or questions, you can always email us at psychlegalpoppodcast@gmail.com. And I think that's it. Yeah. All right.
So much.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
Over 90 of the top 100 U.S. accounting firms trust Bill to simplify and secure bill pay. That's proven financial infrastructure built on over $1 trillion of secure payments. Visit Bill.com/proven for a special offer.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love with no artificial sweeteners, only 30 calories, just 5 grams of sugar, and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. That great Pepsi taste with even more to love. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.